On today's episode of Shootin the Breeze, we finally pick up snow. Winter comes in a bit early and in like a lion. We'll talk about the snowy start to our winter season and just how cold it has been. Plus, could there be more cold and snow on the way? We'll break it all down for you on this week's episode of Shootin the Breeze. And as always, this week's episode is brought to you by the CI Proud to Go weather app. Download it today for access for the winter weather map room, road conditions forecast, and the latest snow and ice forecast, all available in the palm of your hand. Download the CI Proud to Go weather app today, and while you're at it, download our WMBD Plus streaming app, now available on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. I'm your local weather authority, Chief Meteorologist Chris Yates, now joined, as always, by meteorologist Molly Naisland and meteorologist Nathan Kitchens. How are you doing today?
Oh, trying to stay warm.
It's a wee bit chilly out there.
A little bit.
It's a toasty 17 degrees. It's fine.
It's better than I thought it'd be, though. We got some nice sunshine. It's not overly windy today, so it could be a lot worse.
Could be. But it could also be a lot better.
Yeah, but it makes the snow look really pretty when you have the sunshine.
So especially since, we got that really wet, sloppy stuff on Saturday, but then the stuff that went on top of it Monday was like the really fluffy stuff, and that's what usually ends up being
fluffy.
Really sparkly and pretty.
Yeah, the real sparkle.
Yeah.
I got a new nickname over the weekend. I don't know if you guys noticed.
I love it, honestly.
Yeah, it's great.
So if you haven't noticed, my lower third now says Chris Brotato Chip. Yates. The reason for this is my daughter, inquiring about a snow forecast, sent me this text message. We'll send it out. Let me say. It says, Brotato Chip, when is it going to stop snowing, my guy? This about sums up how my daughter communicates with me.
Goodness.
And so my response is Brotato Chip, and she just tells me to shush, which also is very much like her. And then I tell her the forecast. Now, the funny part is that cool gift that she sent me, this is a running joke in our family. Every time I'm away from the house and I'm checking up on her and her sister, and I'm saying, hey, how are things going? And she gives me an answer, I always respond with that gif. Perfect. Always. And then and then her mom started texting her and did the same thing because I told her, I said, I have this job. I was trying to see how long I could annoy her with it. And then I was doing it for months. And then my wife texts her and then responds with that cool gift. And then she goes, oh, no, you're doing it too. And then I just lied. I was wondering how long. Anyway, I was doing it for like 3 or 4 months before. Anyway, if you look at all the gifts that I had sent her, it's just a bunch of the same one. So there you go. That's a running joke in our family from my teenage daughter, Kaylin. But,
My favorite GIF to use is the Blinking Man one where he just goes...
That's great, yeah.
Yep, those are good.
I love that one.
Those are good. Oh, have you guys had a chance to play in the snow?
I don't do that.
I guess we're a little old to play in the snow, but
I've taken walks in the snow this week. It's been really nice.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you made it back home safely, Nathan.
Yeah, me too. Luckily, the roads were in pretty good shape. Came back on Sunday, and as a bummer, we didn't have hardly anything in Indiana. We just had a little dusting where my parents were, so... But it was nice to come back and see the fresh blanket of snow, because when I left Illinois, it was in the 50s, and hard to believe how much the weather's changed in just a week's time.
Yeah, and it looks like it's going to stay a while, and we'll talk more about that coming up here in just a little bit. But before we do, we've got to get to On This Day in Weather History.
Yes.
Take it away, Molly.
Another 2018 story.
2018 was a fun year, wasn't it?
We gotta fix the thingy there, friendo.
Oh, how about hold on 1 second here.
You got it. I believe in you.
Yep, I got it here.
If you
We're good.
remember from the week prior, we talked about the post-Thanksgiving blizzard of 2018. Well, the weekend after was the biggest December outbreak since 1957. Welcome to weather in central Illinois. So yeah, just a week after that early season blizzard, a late season severe weather outbreak resulted in tornadoes across central and southwest Illinois. Storm surveys and reports indicated that 29 tornadoes occurred across the state, and our very own chief meteorologist Chris Yates was on the scene for at least one of them.
That's right. We
Bath, Illinois.
Yeah, chasing north from Bath. That's the picture on the left. That was the Lewiston tornado that day. Look at the
What a
size of that
day.
wall cloud.
It's insane.
That was probably the biggest tornado I've seen, like size wise, in person.
I love
Following
how
behind it.
And
in
it's-
your picture there's snow on the ground.
There was snow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit of a snowdrift still hanging in there.
Yep.
And the fact that it's not all rain wrapped, you have a really good view of the funnel.
Yeah,
It's
that was an interesting day.
That was an interesting year.
Year was that was we had boy. First of all, I'm still gonna apologize to Zach Hatcher. Poor guy. He had to solo the coverage that day for all those tornado warnings, and it was there were big football games on, and it was ticking everybody. I felt bad. The the event, it was a slight risk day. Probably could have been up to it enhanced when you kind of look back at it, 2020, hindsight there. But let's go back. I want to go back to those to the storm reports and pull this full screen. It's basically most of the tornadoes came out of two supercells. There was one that was over far western Illinois. That was the one that cut through parts of Mason, Schuyler, Cass, Fulton County. That was that one. And there was that one that produced the Taylorville tornado that came up further south. Those were two supercells just dropping tornadoes left and right. Then there were a few more that would develop, and they kind of produced a couple. There was another one there in Mason County that I saw, southern Tazewell County as well. This was a day where I was like, yeah, I think most of the tornadoes stay south of our area, which they did. And I was like, you might get a couple of warnings. We had more warnings up here than I anticipated. I mean, McLean County had 5 tornadoes in it. They were brief. There was one EF2 there near Leroy. But, it just got carried. It just got out of hand, and it was just nonstop. And then there was flooding. And so pretty unique of a situation there for December. So I don't want to do that again. So because of that, I don't go chasing much anymore because you needed some help, and I couldn't get back to the station fast enough. By the time I would have gotten to the station, the event would have been over. Because I was chasing. Our plan was actually to intercept that cell that went through Taylorville. That was the cell we were going to end up targeting once it started to develop. But then that first line that was further to the west was the one that. And I'll pull my cursor on this here, right here. Once we saw this cell develop, we went west out towards Jacksonville on 72 and then chased this back into the region. But this was our initial target. We were going to just sit south of Springfield, wait for that storm to develop. Nope, when stuff started developing and looked like it became apparent it was going to impact our area, we changed plans. So that's
I need to I have to point out. So I was in college when this happened, and we jokingly had the Macomb Dome as a
Macomb Dome.
tornado came in. It was warned at the southwest edge of town. It went back up, and then it dropped again on the northeast side of town. Both of them were outside of Macomb. We're like, okay, we just won't get anything.
you get a lot of close calls, though. I will say there's a lot of tornadoes out there.
There are, but I mean, from the meteorologist student standpoint, we're like, oh, okay, we'll be at,
Yeah.
okay, never mind.
So close enough to drive
So
to.
disappointing.
It was the Macomb Dome was a running joke in my graduating class, because we had one professor who's like, every time I am in Macomb when severe weather happens, severe weather does not occur within the Macomb city boundaries.
That happens everywhere, though.
Yeah, the Bloomington Dome.
We have the Bloomington bubble. In Greeley, where I went to school, we had the Greeley bubble. We had the Cheyenne bubble. I mean, no matter where I've lived, everybody's like, it always goes around me. Because statistically, it's true.
Yeah.
It's very rare that you get hit all the time with severe weather.
Yep, in Ohio, where I lived, we had the refinery bubble in Lima, Ohio. So everywhere.
It's just
People swore by it.
It's more often than not. Look, I mean, Bloomington, they got hit by a hailstorm this year for the first time in
Big
10
time
years,
hail.
and that's probably about right. Once every 10 years, you'll get hit by something.
Yeah,
you know.
Chris leaves Bloomington. Historic hailstorm. Yep.
And dust storm. Let's not forget
Tracks.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
the dust. Let's not forget that. All right. Well, hey, we finally picked up some snow. So we're going to talk more about that. We'll take a quick break. Then we'll talk about, we had not one, but two measurable snow events in the last week. And there could be more to come. So we'll discuss all that fun stuff for winter-loving peeps. And if you hate winter, you still might find it interesting. So stick around. We'll have more coming up right after the break. All right, you two, welcome back. Snow, lots of snow everywhere.
Your guys' favorite.
Yes.
It was a pretty good event. So let me take up, we're going to start with storm number 1. Remember, this is the one that had where's the hype everywhere? Snowpocalypse.
Oh, yeah.
That was this one.
I need to take that button away from you.
Storm number 1. And look, there were spots where it exceeded expectations, but for the most part, at least locally, it was about where we anticipated. There were a few minor exceptions where they got a little bit less.
Well, and of course, that falls into we can't tell you exactly where the heavier bands of snow are going to set up until they
No,
happen.
but we were pretty darn close.
Yeah.
Here's a look at what this map ultimately looks like. So there was a pocket of heavier accumulation that basically dropped along I-72, and then there was a narrow ribbon there right along I-74, Galesburg, Peoria to Bloomington, where the reports on average were 4 to 6. It's a little more complicated than that, and I'll explain here in a minute. And then you get up into northern Illinois, and that's where we saw those 6, 8, locally up to 12 inches of accumulation. Now, the first where we saw the overachieving amounts were basically Quincy to Lincoln, down through Springfield. There were a lot of reports there of 10, 12 inches of snow. That's where we saw the overachieving amounts. That's the situation where you just have great warm front producing snowfall.
Yeah. There were some lightning strikes in some of
Yes,
those, too.
thunder snow as well. And I think that's where I think people picked up 2-3 inches of snow in about an hour and a half underneath some of that thunder snow. And that's what a lot of that was. Also, those areas did stay snow for a majority of the event, and even closer to St. Louis, they picked up, I think, more snow than they were expecting. It didn't change over to rain as quickly, and it didn't really melt much. So that was that. And then I think everything north of 74 went about as planned. There was a little bit less snow there between Bloomington and Chenoa. So we had reports up there around Lexington in McLean County. Let me put the cursor there to kind of highlight it right in here, okay, where they picked up, people said somewhere about 2 to 3 inches of accumulation. But we had reports here. The official total, I think, for Bloomington was like 5.5, 4.5, somewhere around there. But I had reports on the north end and the southeast side between 5 and 6. We had reports in Chenoa of 5 to 6 inches of snow. So that's that 6-inch line kind of right through the McLean County, Livingston County line. You get into Peoria. My house on my snowboard, I measured 4.7 inches out of this event, but my board was heavily exposed to the wind, a lot more than I thought it would be. It just was the wind was getting tunneled through a couple of neighboring houses, and it was blowing snow off my board. The average depth on the front of my house, which is facing north, the average depth in my yard was 5.5 to 6 inches of snow when this was done. Galesburg, I think we had reports out here that were higher than what I think is mapped out here. So there were some 6 to 8 inch totals in here. We had over 8 inches reported in Farmington. We had over 8 inches reported in southern Fulton County. So for the most part, it was good. There was this one spot here in McLean County where the amounts came in a bit lower. But that was an exception to the rule. That wasn't normal. And one of the difficulties, you look how complicated this map gets near Champaign. That's because some areas only reported a couple inches of snow, while others had 6, 7, or 8. And that goes down to the differences there come down to wind exposure. And there's no way to forecast that, right? So when you're making a forecast and you give a range, there's still no way to account for the house 3 homes down is going to pick up 2 inches less of snow than I am. There's no way to forecast that. It just so happens because there's a house on the end of my street that has a lot more exposure to a southeast wind. There's almost no snow in their yard. But you look at the house across the street, and you look at their backyard, the depth of that snow is twice as high as anybody else on the block because their house basically collected all that snow and it dumped. So I think a lot of people need to realize that, hey, it might look like 2 inches in your front yard, but there's more. If you walk across the neighborhood, you're going to find a lot more elsewhere. And it's hard to measure that. But the official total, I think, for Peoria was 5.2, and I think that has to do with wind exposure as well. We had reports in Bartonville, Bellevue, both are surrounding communities of the airport, over 6. So, it was a pretty good forecast, all things considered. It wasn't the foot. I mean, we made that clear that wasn't going to probably happen. But it was still a wet system. I think some good moisture out of it.
Yeah, finally.
And then the amounts really tapered off down towards I-70. So that was storm number 1. I think the broad consensus is about 5 to 10 inches of snow out of that as that came on through. Here's storm number 2. This one was a little more straightforward. It was a lot easier to forecast. Basically, we called for a widespread 2 to 4, and that verified very, very well. Some of the heavier totals were right along the lower Illinois River Valley there, Fulton, Mason County. That's where we had a lot more reports of 3 to 4 inches of accumulation. I think Lincoln came in at 3.6, and then Peoria's total was 2.7. I had the same at my house. No wind with that, so it was a lot easier to measure. And then as of this morning, I had about a 5-inch snow depth in my yard after it was a little bit warmer yesterday. So that came down.
What was it? A balmy 33 degrees in
It was
Peoria.
enough to melt
32.
It was so nice out.
Enough to
So
melt off some of
warm.
the snow. So there you have it. Off to a good start in
Very
our
good
winter
start.
season if you are a winter weather fan. So, Nathan, what does this bring us up to with our snow totals for the season?
Yeah, we're looking really good, especially compared to last year at this time. So we've had over 8 inches for the snow season so far. When you look at the early season snow stats, this is actually the 8th snowiest start to a snow season here in Peoria. So that's fairly impressive. You can see the average snow from October 1st through yesterday's date, December 3rd, is only around 2 inches. So we have had certainly quite an impressive start to the snow season with 8.2 inches through December 3rd. Just makes me smile looking at that because
So do the snowmen. I love that.
I love
yeah,
it.
the dancing snowmen, they're so excited about it.
So I went through and I looked at the previous 8 years that are in front of us for the snowiest starts, and I was curious, where do those snow seasons end up at the end of the year? In terms of they got a nice off to an early start, so do they end with more snow at the end of the year or at the end of the season, or do they end up with less? So I went back. Let me read you some of these numbers. So the one that's right in front of us, this was the winter of 1929 into 1930. 33.9 inches was the season-ending total. 1951 to 52 was the 6th snowiest start, 32.3 inches. 2018, 2019, that was a pretty good winter.
That was a year.
36.4 inches of snow in Peoria.
Okay.
That was when we had back-to-back big systems come through, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh my gosh. And then 2019, we had that horrific cold snap.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Extremely cold wind chills.
Yep. 1926 to 1927 is the 4th snowiest. We ended with 29.5 inches, so a little bit of a
Interesting.
relatively close, just slightly above average. 1893 to 94. Now, this one had incomplete data, but that one ended at 29.1 inches of snow.
Okay.
And then I looked, now we're getting into the top 2, and you can probably guess what decade these are in. 1974 to 75. That season ended at 42.3 inches of snow.
That's a healthy amount.
And then
goodness.
the snowiest start to the season to date, 77 to 78. 1977 to 78, and everybody remembers that one around here.
Oh, yeah.
47.1 inches of snow is where that season ended up.
Goodness gracious.
So, above average snow would seem to be a good bet based on that. Now, there's a lot more that plays into this, but if you're looking at, hey, where did the previous stop? They all ended up with above average snow. Our average snowfall is about 26 inches, give or take. Now, I was like, does that mean we get more days below zero? That was all over the place, so that doesn't necessarily equal to that. And then I looked at the season length. That also varied significantly. And the season length basically is the number of days between seeing temperatures below freezing and then climbing above freezing. So from your first freeze to your last freeze, what's the number of days between them? The longest one was 74 to 75 with 203 days of a long. So that season was long. 1926 to 27 was longest at 209.
Goodness.
But one of them was as low as 166. The average is 183 for a normal winter season. But I just thought those stats were interesting. They don't really mean anything, but I just thought they were interesting stats. All right, so what else we got here, Nathan? We got monthly snowfall totals.
We do, yeah. So we mentioned that we're about 4 times ahead of where we should be for snowfall at this point in the snow season. And you can see November, we average about 1.5 inches. And thanks to, of course, the snow we had over the holiday weekend, we ended up with 5.5 for November. And you can see December, we're only 4 days in as of today, and we've already had 2.7. We average about 6.2, so we're off to a great start for the month. You can see 8.2 officially for the season. And in a normal snow season here, which typically runs from October through April, we average just over 26 inches of snow in Peoria. So
Keep it coming.
yeah, looking good. And it's interesting because we're only in December 4th today, and we're already almost to the total we had last year for the entire snow season.
Look, I already think we're off to a better start. So
10.5 inches. And I just thought it was interesting to kind of take a look back at the last several winters, going back all the way to of course, the 13-14 winter that everyone around here remembers. 57.4 or 0.6, if I could read right. So incredibly high
don't have to
snowfall
read right.
that
It's okay.
winter. But it's amazing to me how you can go from a winter with almost 60 inches of snow, and then you have years where you had less than 14 inches. And then more average years there, you can see 18, 19, we did pretty well. We were above average. And of course, there's last year that really stands out with hardly any snow at all. We just kind of nickeled and dimed our way to that 10.5. So I think these are very promising signs for where this winter might be going. Hard to imagine that we wouldn't surpass last year's snow total, just given the fact that we're only at December 4th.
Yeah.
And we're almost there already.
The one thing, when you look at the broader picture, and I have a chart of this somewhere, and you see over time, it looks like there's a 10 to 15 year or a 20-year cycle that goes from down to up, back to down. It looks like last year we hit the bottom of that cycle, and that for the next 10 years, we should generally be trending up over the next decade. There will be some down years, but generally speaking, if you were, which I believe there's a lot of cycles in weather, and
Yep.
On various scales, and I believe that you can kind of see a part of the cycle here on your graphic. 2013, 2014, we obviously had that was an exceptionally high year, but it was coming off of a series of above average winters, and then it went down, and then it kind of came back up again. And now since 2017, it was starting to go down. 24, 25 might have been the down period there. So now over the next 10 years, I would expect it to maybe start to come back up. And doesn't mean it's every winter is going to be above average or really big snows, not necessarily. But I do think you're going to see snowier winters over the next decade than what we've basically seen over the last 5 years. It just based on if you were to kind of observe that trend, you can kind of go off of some of that. This is just an observation.
I think I would be okay if our peak is less than 50 inches of snow.
Yeah, no, we don't want that.
If
I mean, I kind of do, but I don't want to. I would be. We're still getting snow in March, and it's been that kind of winter. I'm a snow lover, but I will be over.
Yeah, I mean, we were getting snow still in like mid-April that year. It just went out.
Yeah. I would be over it.
if we get 60 inches of snow, like in a winter total, I'm going to come talk to you. I'm going to have a chat with you, Chris.
Yeah, I don't foresee that happening, but I think we're certainly on pace for high 20s, low 30s.
I think we're on pace for me to lose the bet this year.
Well, we'll see.
Wouldn't you guys be so happy about that?
Here's what's going to happen, right? We might get a white Christmas this year, might. That's assuming we don't get a big warm up here coming
get
up in the middle
people's
part of the
hopes up.
month. But if we get one, what's going to end up happening? It's going to turn into like a blowtorch in January.
Probably.
And then we'll get a little bit more on the back end. So, look, it's winters in Illinois. They're entertaining to say the least.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
you just wait a few minutes and it'll be different outside.
Yeah, I remember the winter of 2010 and 11. That was a very, very snowy December. And here in Peoria, also where I was in Indiana, it was very snowy and cold. And We had a ton of snow that December, and then January came around, and if I recall right, the pattern completely flipped. It got warm, and it just didn't snow at all, and it didn't really snow much for the rest of the winter. So it just shows you we could have a really impressive start to the winter. It's not automatically saying, okay, we're going to end up with a huge record-breaking winter of snow, but
I mean, 2011, that was the year of the groundhog snowstorm, wasn't it?
that's true. That's true. Yes, here in Illinois, we had the
Was
huge
it
snow in
2011 or 2008, or was it both?
I believe it was I know 11 was when we had the big groundhog storm with
There's
the,
Might have been
something.
both.
There's something with Groundhog Day and snow.
February in general
It's
here.
weird.
As the last decade, I would say our winters have been very back end loaded. So like we would have
have,
just
yeah.
crummy winter conditions, not much snow, occasionally cold from December through January, and then it's like February's like, by the way, it's the shortest month of the year, but you're going to get all your snow this month, and then
absolutely.
It is 2011. I just double checked.
2011.
Yeah.
All right, so there we go. All right, well, hey, let's take a quick break, and then we'll take a look back here, Molly. We can walk us through the calendars. You've
Yes.
spent all this time and effort keeping these up to date. I appreciate it. So we'll have you walk us through the calendars for November. I'm really curious to see where November ended after our big end cold snap, and we'll talk snow, and then we'll talk about potentially more snow on the horizon. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back. All right, Molly.
Hi.
All right, so walk us through November's temperature stats.
It's not even just the temperature. The fact that we had to add a snowfall calendar
Yes.
in November.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at the up, the down, and we still ended up above average. Not by much.
It's a lot of red.
There's a lot of
Barely a
red.
degree above average for the entire month. And of course, you can see we got really cold the Friday before that snow, and then the snow happened, and then we stayed cold. Kind of how we talk about drought begets drought. Snow makes it colder.
Yes.
So you have that
Yep.
snowpack on the ground. It makes things a lot colder. But for the month itself, there's a lot of red. It got really warm.
You know what I did, though, when those temperatures were 10 to 20 degrees above average? You know what I was doing that weekend?
What?
Putting up Christmas lights.
Oh, I was going to say raking leaves, but
I was doing that, too. I was doing a little bit of everything, but I took full advantage of, I'm like, you know what? December's looking like it's going to be quite cold. I ain't waiting until Thanksgiving to get this done.
We still had some really cold days in there.
I was
did.
out cleaning gutters on that 26th when we had the high winds and it got a lot colder. We had that 2.9 below average, but oh my gosh, it felt horrible outside that day. Oh, it was not fun.
We started the month below average, and then we went above average, and then we had a weekend, like we had a really brief cold snap the second weekend of the
And it
month.
snowed in some areas.
It did.
It did snow in Peoria too.
It's Stone Peoria.
And then pretty much for the rest of the month, we were above average until we got to the week of Thanksgiving. And
yep.
then that's when our winter snap started. And conveniently, meteorological winter starts on December 1st. And it actually started to feel like winter before we got to December 1st. And then look at the precip.
Oh,
We
still
still
ended up
were
dry.
at a deficit.
Still.
Could have been much worse, though.
So here's the other thing with this is precip and snow get measured separately on the climate map that the National Weather Service does. So we do actually have a calendar for that.
Yep.
But this is, the measurable precip we had. We got some snow, we got some drizzle, but overall for the liquid,
Yep.
we were in a deficit.
Yeah, so rain and melted snow included here. So that's just under a half inch, which, by the way, speaking to that Saturday storm, there were a lot of models. And one thing I was hesitant on, there were a lot of models starting to spit out over an inch of QPF in Peoria. You saw there, we had just under a half inch. So, be careful I think the models were having a hard time handling some of the convective elements of that system that produced thunderstorms, because there were some 1 inch totals near I-72. So in the center of that heavier, but there, even the day of, the high res models were even still showing an inch of precip in Peoria. If we had picked up an inch of precip in Peoria, we would have been probably 9-10 inches of accumulation. But all right, let's get to the snow map here, Molly. It's not very exciting for November, but
It makes us feel good inside
There's a
because we
couple of
ended
spots,
with a surplus.
4+.
Yes,
good.
over 4 inches. So yeah, as we had mentioned, that initial cold snap we got at the beginning of the month did give us 0.3 of an inch of snow, and then we had 5.2 inches of snow the day of the actual event. And then some of that did carry over into Sunday, where we had a trace of
yep.
snow. So for the month, we did end with 5.5 inches. Yay!
Yep. And I'm still thinking it's a little, the totals on Saturday probably officially are a little under, but, 5, 6, 6.5, somewhere in there
Yeah.
is where we would have been.
I mean, either way, we still ended the month 4 inches above,
Above
average.
average.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty good end if you're a snow lover. And then, wow, look at our temperatures for December.
Really does
Goodness.
feel like winter.
Like, hello.
Yeah. I mean, we're only
That doesn't even include today, which is going to be
No.
way below
Yeah.
normal.
3-4 days in, and we're already 12 degrees below average. That's going to go down once we have today's official temperature in. But the thing with winter in central Illinois, we're in the deep of winter by January and February typically. We're not in the deep of winter for December. It can feel like it at times,
Yes.
but you still see a lot of those up and down days throughout December.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, just to say, Wednesday, we saw a few people get above freezing.
It's still 10 degrees below average.
Yeah.
Below average, above freezing.
We have not been above freezing technically yet in Peoria this month, and we've got many more days that we're going to stay below that freezing mark, which is impressive.
Yep.
Yeah, so don't be surprised if there's more ups and downs in the forecast. And then, of course, with our precip, we're actually in a deficit, not by much. It was very, very tiny, because we saw some liquid melted precip on Monday mixed in with the snow.
Yep.
But we're starting the month off not bad when it comes to snowfall.
Not bad.
We're kicking things off with 2.7.
It's a good start.
Yay!
It's a good start. That snow that came in on Monday was a little drier. Wasn't nearly as wet as the stuff that came in on Saturday. The snow we're going to process, we'll talk here about in a second, about that we're going to probably get this weekend, is going to be kind of average. It's on the wetter side, but it's not like super wet.
Yeah.
But it will have a little bit more moisture than what we picked up on with that Monday night or Sunday night, Monday, whatever day it was, Monday event. So off to a good start.
For winter, yeah, especially.
I'm a fan. I'm loving this. I wish every winter was like this, but
Yeah, there's something about the holiday season and snow on the ground. It just makes it more exciting.
my decorations really look that it needed the snow to come together.
Yes.
My wife's like, all right, well, we need to, because we always like to add something every year. We really didn't add anything this year. And so we've been looking at
You
lawn.
added snow.
Well, that's now we have, yes. But we've been looking at some lawn decorations like deer or snowmen or something to put into the grass in the front yard. And she's like, "Do you want me to order these? They're on sale." I was like, "That's great, but I can't put them into the ground because there's 6.5 inches of snow in it." I said, "So if you want to order them, we'll just use them next year." So that'll probably be something we do next year. But the snow kind of helped bring everything together. It actually our goal was to, when we did our house, we want to make it look like Elsa puked winter all over our
There we
house.
go.
And now it looks like that with the snow. We've got an ice Northern Lights theme going on with that's our winter theme at our house. So that's what we got going on. All right, and as we alluded to, we got more snow on the way.
Long range
Yeah.
forecast.
Yeah, so let's kind of get through this week. Let me bring this up. So this is our pattern, give or take. There's going to be some fluctuation in storm track, but we've basically got this northwesterly flow coming from Canada, moving into the Midwest, and out across New England. This is a storm track that tends to bring in clipper systems, and it looks like it's going to be pretty active through at least December 12th, if not even a little bit longer. Models have been flipping back and forth whether they want to bring in a 1 or 2 day warm period before the pattern kind of resets. But for now, this is kind of the general consensus for the pattern here for the next week and a half or so. This means occasional shots of what is usually light snow, but also reinforcing shots of cold air. So it's going to be difficult to probably warm up much as long as this pattern persists. Now we're tracking what was, and it was looking last night as it was still a potential round of snow. This is now jumping into the more likely category. But there up until this late last night, early this morning, there was a big deviation in storm track here. There was a handful of models, the Canadian models and the American models, that generally took the system from Nebraska down into Kansas, or even further west into Colorado, into Texas. That was While there was support for that for, I think, more models, it was a deviation from what the models were saying in the week prior, right? I think a lot of models were more on, hey, this system's going to swing from Nebraska or Iowa and cut into central Illinois. The European model has been favoring the northern track. It has a lot more support in its ensembles for that northern track. And now we're seeing the American and Canadian models starting to make that northward push. So as Nathan, I think, mentioned this morning, snow is looking more likely Saturday night into Sunday. And Nathan, you threw together our accumulating snow chances here.
Yeah, you can see those highest probabilities certainly over the northern third of Illinois, and especially within our area, kind of along I-74 north. But again, that could adjust with some of the latest model runs. But these are some of the probabilities off kind of a blend of models, showing at least a chance of measurable snow. And that's fairly high. You can see running about 70 to about 80+% in our area. Galesburg has the highest probability at 85% for at least measurable snowfall. When it comes to something more than that, as far as an inch of snow, we're at just under 50% in Peoria, closer to 30% in Bloomington. You can see Galesburg kind of leads the way. The further north and west you are, the probabilities are generally higher. Just over kind of a coin flip, just a little bit higher probability than that of getting at least an inch in Galesburg. And then looking at about 25% chance in Galesburg of at least 2 inches. So I imagine as we see the models start to kind of congeal toward a solution that we're starting to see today of this more northern track, I have a feeling we'll see those chances start to climb as we see more of those updates come in.
Yeah, the blend is still heavily weighted towards models earlier that were not convinced on snow. The ones coming in this afternoon, once this gets a hold of that stuff, I think those probabilities are going to shoot up for the 1 and 2 inch potential. Not everybody's going to be, I don't want to say it's going to be like the last one we had where it was a widespread 2 to 4. It looks like there might be some areas that actually come in under that, but it's still going to be one where if you're driving Sunday morning, there'll probably be snow on the roads. So this will be one to keep an eye on. There could be some impacts. So it's not a significant snowmaker, but we'll just kind of refresh whatever was lost when it warmed up briefly yesterday. So the probabilities are on the rise. That's kind of the key takeaway here, and accumulating snow is looking likely. Here's that national blend of models. Hopefully the graphics will go. It's a very loaded graphic, so it sometimes takes a minute to go, but there you can see how slow it is. There you go. So yeah, you can see our snow probabilities, which were generally around 20% yesterday, are now over 50 or at 50 in Peoria. We've got another shot here coming up in around Monday, and another system around midweek. That one is interesting in that it looks like we'll actually be on the warm side, and we might actually get some rain out of that, or a wintry or what will be rain transitioning to a wintry mix, and then back to snow. What we need to watch out for with that one midweek is if there's enough snowpack left that our surface temperatures don't climb above freezing. Because what then would be rain would then be freezing rain.
Yeah, that's...
So we got to watch what our snow is doing to our... We'll see. The models do have our air temperatures. A lot of them have our air temperatures above freezing that week. But it'll be interesting to see if the snow does keep the air temperature down a little bit.
You know what I like doing? The donut model, reminding people what the difference between freezing rain and sleet is.
Oh, the sprinkles,
Yeah.
glaze. I love the glazed donuts.
A donut with sleet is a sprinkled donut. A donut with freezing rain is a glazed donut.
Glazed on.
Perfect. Yeah, and that's what worries me when you start to establish a snowpack in the winter and then you try to get warm air to move in. That's where you can run into trouble sometimes.
Yep.
Because you're going to have warm air aloft, so you're not going to have snow falling. It's liquid, but then the question is, what's the surface doing?
Yep.
If it's cold enough, it could ice things up, and that can cause a whole array of problems. So,
well, it's something we'll keep an eye on. I'm not too concerned about it, but it is
Right.
something in the back of my mind that we'll just have to watch and see if that's not something that's necessarily going to be picked up at this stage in the forecast period by these broad model blends. There are so many probabilities, or there are so many other possible solutions that particular solution just kind of gets buried in the noise, but we just need to be aware that it's a possibility. The next 7-day forecast, this is from Nathan this morning. So there you go. Yeah, you got the wintry mix in there for Wednesday.
Yep.
You've got that chance of snow there for Sunday. And again, we're probably increasing those likelihoods, especially for Sunday. And notice the temperatures, mid-30s there early next week. So we'll be watching. it does look like there's going to be enough of a push of warm air to at least try to get temperatures over freezing.
See, I'm having a hard time getting past the 5 degrees.
Yeah,
Sunday
well,
night.
after tonight, whatever. We've been there.
It's like,
Been
oh,
there,
that's
done
not-
that. And then let's take a look at that longer range, that 8 to 14 day outlook. This
That's
is
a
that
fun map.
so December 12th through the 18th. So this is an interesting period because
Yeah.
that northwesterly flow that I talked about earlier is going to keep us in a pattern like this. The question is, does that pattern persist? Climate Prediction Center is showing a higher likelihood of it staying colder than normal, but we're awfully close to that, that warm air, cold air battle zone.
Yeah.
And that's where things can get a little more interesting. So there could still be a day or two towards the end of between December 12th and 18th where we do get a little bit warmer, but it's not there were some pages already advertising highs in the 50s and potentially 60s next week. I'm telling you, pump the brakes. We're not,
Oh, no.
we don't have that kind of confidence in that yet. So I would tend to agree with the assessment that we're probably going to still be somewhere below average, just given the amount of snow that's on the ground now. And then their precip forecast, near to above average.
Interesting looking map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's your typical La Nina. That's your typical La Nina precip map. I tell you what, though, the Central Rockies need snow. Denver finally got some snow this week, real snow. They picked up like 3 to 6 inches of accumulation. They've had a very slow start to the winter season out there. The Northern Rockies are faring a little bit better, but Colorado, where I've got a lot of friends, they're like, there's no snow. And that's just an area. La Ninas, they tend to not get a lot of snow in the winter. They do better with El Nino winters, especially in the spring. And I think they pick up more. They'll pick up more snow in March than they do all winter long.
Interesting.
All right, that's the long range outlook. We'll take a quick break, and then we're going to end it strong with what Molly assured me was a fun video.
It is.
So we are. I'm gonna. In
It's
Molly, we trust.
goofy.
So I'm looking for
You're
it.
putting a lot of trust in someone.
I
that-
like what it says here. So that
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Sounds
am
cool.
I am intrigued. So we will talk about that and much more coming up here after the break. Don't go anywhere. All right, Molly. Am I going to be pleased or am I going to be disappointed with whatever I'm about to show?
I think it's cute.
You think it's cute?
It's not red pandas in the snow cube, but
No.
that's setting the bar pretty high.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and fire. This is. Was there a script to this or no?
Yeah, I gave
Oh,
you a
there it is.
script.
I've got it right here. All right. From the Molly Naisla newsroom, here's what we have. A cheeky police dog by the name of Chase from the Pleasant Prairie Police Department in Wisconsin was filmed ripping off the arm of a snowman before taking off with the appendage.
How dare you?
Oh, what's he doing? Oh, is he licking the face? I took your arm, and he's gone.
He's very proud of himself.
Video released by the department shows Chase examining the snowman and then pulling out its right arm. And then here's a quote. Our department received a complaint regarding our off-duty conduct that occurred yesterday afternoon of, you guessed it, K9 Chase. The complainant, a Mr. Frosty T. Snowman, and a Pleasant Prairie, stated that K9 Chase ripped his arm off and took it in an unprovoked attack. The department wrote in a tongue-in-cheek post to Facebook.
It's cute.
The snowman will be pressing charges. Unfortunately, he is likely to melt before he
Yeah.
gets his day in court.
He won't make it.
He won't make it.
But I love how the dog, like once Chase gets the arm, he just like do 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 do
Yeah.
do do
It's
do.
frolicking away.
You gotta love it. Dog stealing arms, and you're like, dog. I see. The first vision was that dog's running around with a revolver. Nope. Love it.
That's
Love it.
too. Yeah.
Love it. No.
I didn't want to.
That would be terrifying, by the way,
I didn't
Molly.
want
That
to
would be
title it too
terrifying.
long, so I went with
I
something short,
appreciate
sweet, to the
police
point.
dog stealing arms. You know what?
It's accurate.
I like the lead in. I
It's
like it.
accurate.
He hooked, line, sinker.
Yep.
That's a fun story. Good job, Molly. fan.
The original weather jokes page that I use wouldn't load, so I have to go to a different one.
Are you all out of your dad jokes?
I feel like I told all three of them.
Oh, you get all of them? Probably
Yeah.
did. Yeah, well, your dad's just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to dad jokes. So
He's a wealth of knowledge in many things.
We had a really good Christmas joke this week.
Oh, you
I
want
want
to
to hear it.
Want to start out with that one?
Let's start off with that
Yes.
while Molly finds hers.
Okay, so what do you call a wreath of $100 bills?
Expensive.
And I saw this one on Facebook too, so I don't know if you guys saw. I guess you didn't. The answer is Aretha Franklin's.
Ah!
I'm a fan.
I love
Franklin.
that actually.
RESPECT. Love it. Love it.
Let me see if
Aretha
there's
Franklin's.
rainy jokes. I wonder if there are snowy jokes.
I heard some good ones, and now I can't remember.
See, that's the problem I run into. I hear some really good jokes, and then they just go in one ear and out the other.
There's a lot of stuff rattling around in my head, too. Who knows?
Oh, is that what that sound is?
Yeah.
Okay.
It sounds hollow.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, I found some. I found. What do trees say after a long winter? What a relief.
Oh, I was gonna say. I was thinking that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't get my. There we go.
There
I
you
can't
go.
hear it, but I'm sure it's playing.
No, it was right.
That was the rim shot?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Both of you.
Yes.
Stepping up your A game in the joke department today.
That's
so
right.
appreciate
We're
it.
both very funny.
I am not, but you two are. Somebody's got to be. It's not me. All right. With that, I think that's it. That's time. It's we're 46 minutes into this puppy, and we got other work to do. So, wishing you all a happy and safe week. More snow on the way this weekend. Nathan, Molly, and I will all keep you updated as that snow
right.
kind of comes and goes, and it stays cold for eternity. I'm just kidding. It's not gonna be
Okay.
that, it's not gonna be that bad. But we'll keep you updated. But thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Shootin' the Breeze. We will catch you next time.
See ya.